Another big signing. This one is one that I did have predicted.
Yep.
Obviously, with everything that the Dodgers do great, one thing that they did need to improve on was the back end of the bullpen. Last year, all of their bullpen pitchers were starters in the playoffs, and I do imagine you're still going to see a lot of that next year in the playoffs. Uh, but they solidified the back end of the bullpen. They signed Edwin Diaz. It was a 3-year deal for $69 million. There were reports that the Mets offer was 3 for 66, and he just took the extra million a year to go to the Dodgers.
I
Um,
mean, he wants to win.
yeah, he wants to win, and the Dodgers kind of made a move fair, like I would say similar to this, but obviously Edwin Diaz is a much more consistent, much better reliever compared to Tanner Scott. And Tanner Scott was awful last year.
Yeah.
If you can have Edwin Diaz be the closer for this team and Tanner Scott have a little bit of a bounce back, then this is a move that makes the Dodgers even more dangerous than they already were.
For sure. And it also lets you move Roki Sasaki back to the rotation.
There were a lot of questions where Pete Alonso was going to go. Was he going to go to the Boston Red Sox? Was he going to go to the New York Yankees? Was he going to end up going back to the New York Mets? And I think this team was always floated around as a team that made sense, but it's a team that never really spends money. Well, Mike Elias decided
Finally did it.
this is the year to start opening up the checkbook.
But not for pitchers.
Not for pitchers yet, but hopefully. With all the young position players on the Baltimore Orioles, they decided to go get a veteran presence. They decided to go get one of the best bats on the free agent market. They got a big, strong guy in the middle of their lineup, and they went out and they signed Pete Alonso. It was a 5-year deal for $155 million. There's $30 million in incentives in this deal, so this deal could be worth as much as $185 million.
I told you someone was going to give him 5 years.
I knew he was going to get 5 years. It was going to be. I thought him and Kyle
You
Schwarber.
said the Mets were going back to him. I didn't think that was going to happen.
I did think. Until someone signed him, I did think he was going to go back to the Mets because I thought the
I
Mets.
thought that bridge was burned after last offseason.
I thought the Mets were going to be the team most willing to give him that deal.
No.
Because I do want to talk about what is next for the New York Mets. Because right now, Mets fans are in shambles. The one guy from Barstool that is a huge Mets fan, I sent you that video.
Oh my gosh, I love him, and it's amazing.
I can't remember. They got Frank, I think the guy's
Frank,
whatever this guy's name is.
big old Frank.
After Edwin Diaz went to the Dodgers, he said, and I quote, "The Mets are going to lose 194 games next year." So obviously they not fixed their bullpen, but they made their bullpen move with signing Devin Williams.
I don't like it.
What do the Mets go? Where do the Mets go from here?
They need outfield. They need first base. I think they need more bullpen. And I think they need a starting pitcher. Like, they need a lot. I think this is where Wilson Contreras ends up. I think it's the perfect spot for him. They need a right-handed power bat in that lineup, and you lost your guy. And Wilson's not going to replace it. He's not going to hit 40 bombs. It's not what he does, but is he going to do 20 to 25? Yeah, he's going to do that. Is he going to hit 120 RBIs? Probably not, but 90 to 100, absolutely doable. But you need a right-handed bat in that lineup, and you need a first baseman because you can't. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name now.
Brett Beatty or Mark Vienna?
Nope. Vientos. You can't put Vientos back at first base. He was not good there last year. And Brett Beatty is your third baseman. They really liked what he did last year. And so I think he's staying there. Um, but this is a team that honestly, I know I keep coming back to the Cardinals, but they have all the trade pieces. Do you want JoJo Romero? You need bullpen help. Do you want Brendan Donovan? You can use outfield help, and Donnie can play out there. Do you want Wilson Contreras, first baseman? Do you want an actual outfielder that only plays out there, Lars Nootbaar? Like they have all the pieces outside of a starting pitcher that they could want. Um, but I see them making at least one big free agent signing and one big trade. They have to because, as you can see on the screen, Mr. Met is sad, and this is their entire fan base. But their fan base isn't quite as sad as this. They're more angry and holding pitchforks.
Yeah, I think whenever you think about where the Mets go from here, I do think a trade with the Cardinals will end up happening. I specifically think it will end up being for Wilson Contreras and Jojo Romero because it
Combined, I can see it.
combined. Um, because there's been a lot of movement with where what is going through Wilson Contreras' mind. Because he came in the offseason with absolutely no desire to waive his no trade clause, even knowing what was going to happen with this Cardinals team. He knew Nolan Arenado wasn't going to be here next year. He knew Sonny Gray wasn't going to be here next year, but he wanted to be the veteran leader for this team. Now, in the past 2 weeks, it seemed, I believe, maybe even
Yeah.
less than that, reports have came out that he's willing to waive his no trade clause. Reports came out that there have been talks with the Cardinals and the Mets about a trade with Wilson Contreras. There have been talks about potential names, even though I don't believe we've heard any. It's got to the point where they've started talking about names.
Jonah Tong.
Probably not.
Jonah Tong, please.
Um, it's gotten to the point to where
Please.
they've started talking about money. And there's talks about Jojo Romero potentially being involved. So I believe with how quickly things seem to be developing with this Wilson Contreras situation, I think Wilson Contreras and Jojo Romero are going to be not necessarily the replacements for Pete Alonso and Edwin Diaz because it's not a replacement, but it will at least be something to supplement that. And I know the Mets are also in on some bigger names. There's reports that they're talking to Alex Bregman. I don't think that's going to happen.
Kyle Tucker.
There's reports about them talking to Kyle Tucker. This is
I
more
don't think it's
likely.
happening.
I think this is more likely a landing spot for Cody Bellinger.
Yeah,
Um,
I can see
going,
Belly.
going in the offseason, my predictions for the Mets were going to be they signed Robert Suarez, which Devin Williams is going to be the Robert Suarez in this whole situation. Pete Alonso, which now isn't happening. And I also said they were going to go sign Cody Bellinger and trade for Brendan Donovan. If they're getting both Contreras and Romero, I don't think Brendan Donovan is going to be in the picture there.
Wilson Contreras is going to be a Met.
There were also reports at the beginning of the season that I don't know how real they are, but there were reports that Francisco Lindor might be not be there.
Yeah,
So
there's some smoke around him and Juan Soto not getting along.
again, don't know how real those are, but it seems like more bad times might be coming for the Mets, and I don't know how they would fix trading Francisco Lindor.